Yeah, it's not cutting out. We're about to start. Sorry about that. We're going to do it right. I promise. I promise. Here we go. They're chewy sprees, baby. Car last night eating these, and my kid, she's like, could you please stop chewing those? It's so gross. I know, but they're good. Well, fellas and fillettes, today's show is absolutely going fucking bonkers already, and I apologize for that. It's just one of those days. That song was Alex Plox, our very own Alex Plox. He and I were talking earlier because his new album is called Hate'll Rain. And he was like, Jaffe, you're saying it wrong. And I'm like, I don't know how the fuck to say it. But he educated me, and I appreciate that. That is Hate'll Rain from our very own Alex Plox. Welcome to the Friday episode of the GABBIN+GAMES. It's good to see you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Let me just get this set up. I know I saw people in the chat earlier saying, Jaffe, don't you have an assistant? I do, but that's not what she does for me. I'm looking, I'm seriously considering a producer for this here Dog and Pony, but I don't quite know how to go about it just yet. So, but I will. Anyway, that's, whatever. You don't need my fucking life story. You might. I'll give it to you. Here we go. Let's settle, Jaffe. Let's focus. Hello, Lando. Lando says, what's up, Jaffe? Not much, Lando Calrissian, except that you were really wasted in the last movie. I don't mean you were drunk. I mean, like, they wasted you as a character. It was so stupid. Let me tell you something else, by the way. That woman at the end of Star Wars, the last jet, what the fuck was it called? Skywalker Rises, Rise of Skywalker. That, man, that was supposed to be Lando's daughter. Really? That's coincidental. That's just like, I'm glad they cut it out, but in one of the, books that comes out about the Star Wars, apparently they reveal that girl was the one who rode the horses that was on the island where the main cast crashed onto or something. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. How are you, fellas? No. Let's focus. How are you? We are a week away from Christmas Eve. I've barely begun shopping. The tree comes tomorrow. We haven't decorated it yet. I picked up some board games to play with the family over the holidays. I want to let you know we will be doing some holiday stuff. We'll be doing a stream on Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve day. And we will be doing something on Christmas morning, probably, because my kids are teenagers now, so they sleep really, really late. And in that, it's not like back in the day where they'd get up at 5 o'clock and wake everybody up. So, and it's because I just want anybody watching to know I'm not gonna be serious this whole show, or even for more than 10 more seconds or 8 more, whatever the fuck. It's just, I just know there's a lot of people this time of year that it's not the joyous time of year that they see on the TV screen and in the movies and all that shit, and their friends on Instagram pretend it's the best time of the year. I mean, it's a good time. I love Christmas. I'm excited, but I do know that there's people out there that every year they struggle through it, and so in our own little small way, we'll be here for you, streaming some crazy bullshit, whatever it is. So, that said, let's talk about video game news. Again, the phone lines are open, given that they're Discord. They're not really phone lines, but I'm a kid of the 80s. That's what I call them. You can call into the show if you want, talk to me about whatever rigmarole you want to fucking talk about. But we are going to kick this off today by chatting about this story that is happening regarding Tencent first. So Tencent, as you may know, and I'm only bringing this up not because I'm not trying to bang a political drum, although it really shouldn't be political. What happened to the days where just sort of being against dictators was not political, but I guess things have changed. But anyway, I bring it up because I was fascinated today. Let me tell you the story first. Turtle Rock, the great developer who did Left 4 Dead, and now they have Back 4 Blood, which I don't like anywhere near as much, but it's clearly a well-made game. It's, comparatively speaking. And then they did that one with the giant monster, the asymmetrical multiplayer. What the fuck was that called? I got to tell you a quick little side. I'm at E3, and it was the first or second year that these guys had that game, that monster game. And it was so insane. Because if you've been to E3, and if you're a developer and you've been to E3, Evolve, thank you, Spasbo. If you're a developer at E3, you know the process, which is, whether your game is Game of the Year, it's a piece of shit, you get excited whenever all the journalists started walking the floor, because they would start putting their ribbons and awards and shit like that, and hopefully by the end of E3, I've had some games like, God of War, of course, was there, and Twisted Metal and Twisted Metal Black, where by the end of the show, your whole wall would be covered with ribbons, and it would just feel great. Well, and then obviously Drawn to Death. Drawn to Death got a few. We got a couple from Kind of Funny and a couple from some small sites, but it was never a big, victory party for us there, or anywhere else for that matter. So anyway, I remember back to the E3 when I was there for Evolve, and you can see this picture on the internet. Their wall was absolutely just plastered. You could barely see the logo of Evolve and the artwork and the key art behind it because it was plastered with so many awards. Best of show, best multiplayer, best game on this system, most innovative, whatever. And the game comes out and doesn't do shit, but I remember the screen grab or the photo that was taken with some of the teams standing in front of the wall, understandably proud and excited and happy with what them and the team had done. And you would have thought they would have gone back to wherever they are. I think they're in Lake Forest, California is where they hail from. And they would have been fucking, cracking open the dope and drinking the alcohol and doing whatever it is they do to celebrate because they were on the way to having the next big hit. And then the game comes out and nobody fucking plays it. And it kind of craters. And they tried to save it and they couldn't. I only bring that up because that's Turtle Rock, right? Turtle Rock's had their ups and downs, but for some reason, which is probably smart from a money standpoint, Tencent, the company that is one of the biggest companies in China, they have spent so much time and money over the last couple of years buying up game developers in the West. And they are, as most big companies are, everybody in China is in bed with President Xi and the Communist Party because that's how China is. But when you're talking about companies as big as Tencent, I understand that Tencent doesn't have a group of, internal security that goes up and rounds up Muslim people or goes up and rounds up, Hong Kong protesters and all that. But when you're that buddy-buddy with the party and the party leadership, when you start paying people for 10-cent games, you realize that a lot of your money is going to support a lot of things that most Americans, at least, should find, and most freedom-loving people should find super offensive, problematic, and dangerous, and terrifying, and sad. Okay. But this was the first time, other than some fringe voices out in the world, because the news came out today that Tencent is buying Turtle Rock. This is what they say. This is what the president and general manager of Turtle Rock says. He says, "We are all looking forward to joining the Tencent family of studios, a.k.a. the Communist Party of China," said Stephen Goldstein, who, like my last name, Jaffe, I assume he's a Jewish fella or he has Jewishness in his background. I don't say that because I'm being, anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm saying that Goldstein is a usual Jewish name. And you think you should count on Jews, of all people, other than maybe African Americans, to go, I don't think I want to get in bed with a group of people that are pretty much the fucking Nazis, But your mileage may vary. So he says, this is the president and general manager of Turtle Rock. He says, Tencent's outstanding partners, global reach, deep knowledge of gaming, and unprecedented support will help us create the kinds of ambitious games we dream of, while allowing us to retain our autonomy, and good luck with that, an independent spirit, he said. He went on and concluded by saying, fuck the Uyghurs. I added that part at the end. He didn't say that, but then this is what Tencent says. Who cares? Hey, what do we got there? We got ourselves a sub over on the YouTube. Michael Brown just subscribed. Thank you, sir. That's Michael Brown of the Connecticut Browns. They're a good family, good people. Thank you, Michael. He says, we're fans of Turtle Rock Games. This is Tencent talking. Especially their amazing approach to creating cooperative online games, says Eddie Chan, Chief Strategy Officer of Tencent. Can't wait to see what comes next, and we're excited to be part of their future, as long as there's no Muslims there. I added that last part. There you go. But what I liked about what happened today was it was one of the first times that the drum that people are banging. I've been banging it. Colin Moriarty has a big fucking drum. He fucking bangs it. People are starting to bang it. The news is starting to bang it. It was nice to see NeoGAF, which is usually a bastion of, get your politics out of my games. I don't want to hear about politics. Actually coming up and kind of going, this is shit. This is bad. I don't like this. And, because as gamers are starting to push back, you know, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good for democracy-loving human beings. This is a guy over on the NeoGAF. He says, HTK says, I think it's time to stop blaming Tencent and put your attention towards the greedy Turtle Rock leadership and the rest of the sellouts if you care about those type of things. That's not necessarily untrue. The fact of the matter is Tencent isn't coming in with an army and invading. They're simply making offers to these companies, and these companies are saying, yep. And I get it. I've had 2 companies. Both times I wanted to have an exit strategy where somebody paid me and the team millions of dollars so I could have tons of fucking money. But I've turned down an offer from Tencent. I would always turn down an offer from anything that's that in bed with the Chinese government. And it is a little shitty that people are you know, they should be focusing on the people that said, yes, I'll sign this contract. I'll just read you one more. This is from Pooh Daddy. He says, China's buying us piece by piece, and we're taking that money with goofy smiles on our faces because. He's absolutely right. China's pretty much already 1984, and who's naive enough to believe they won't try that here when they're the majority shareholders in many of the largest entertainment companies in America? Christ, man, people just don't care about the future of our kids at all. It's already happening. It's not some dark dystopic future. It's happening right now. Jesus, I need a coffee and a whiskey. So, you know... Anyway, I'm just letting you know it's out there. You know, I don't know what that means. I'm not saying you should no longer support Turtle Rock Games or what have you. I just think that, you know, I just think it's something worth talking about and something worth being aware of if you're not already aware of it, because it's really kind of fucking shitty. Eric Lennon says, Jaffe, you talk about China, but the reality is we should all be boycotting the American government. I don't want to get into politics on this show. We can talk about that later. But if you're talking about, is America clean? Of course not. America does some awful things, 100%. 100 fucking percent. But we have the opportunity, if we would wake up, to throw the people out of government that do those things. In China, I mean, I've shown you guys the footage of the guy who basically went on like a chat room on the Chinese internet, which is totally censored, and was drunk, and he was talking some smack about the police. And the police hauled him in, put him in a torture chair, and you should have seen this guy, terrified for his fucking life. I mean, it's a little different. It's a little different. Okay, let's move on. Spider-Man, though, by the way, says Danny Sullivan, we're not doing spoilers. We're not talking about it. I already know everything that happened. Haven't even seen it, but I'm happy to get those spoilers. Spider-Man is not releasing in China. Maybe Hollywood will go back to making us movies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that one, they didn't pick that one. I don't think they picked Shang-Chi either, but that was because I think one of the actresses pissed them off or something. Okay, let's talk about another. I mean, gamers, look. Gamers are mad. All the stories, I'm not, you know, somebody accused me the other day or yesterday when I was talking about the creators, the can you be a white creator writing a black story or whatever? It's like, Jeff, you just picked that because it would make people angry. I'm like, dude, I spend most of my day going through the news trying to find fun things for us to talk about, debate, discuss, come together on. Bond over, if you will, like pals do. A lot of this shit that I'm pulling out is people are pissed. Look at this one. You can't even see your screen. Let me give you this goddamn screen. Hang on a second. You got to take a look at this with me. So this came up if you were one of the privileged few that was watching the Game Awards with us the other night, and they showed the trailer for Star Wars Eclipse, and I will play it in the background without any audio so we don't get a copyright. But you know, if you haven't seen it, it's gorgeous. It's fucking beautiful. It reminds me of, I want to say it might have been Knights of the Old Republic. There was a Star Wars game that BioWare made, and I remember being at E3, back to E3 one year, and there was a big TV, a giant screen out in one of the lobbies of one of the halls. And suddenly this trailer came on, and this was before Force Awakens, of course. So all that we had as fans was the shitty prequels, and most people were like, these are horrible. And suddenly we saw this amazing CG trailer that we had never seen, like somebody with a real command of cinematic storytelling do a Star Wars. And there was like a huge battle on the Clone Wars and stuff. And it was like, oh my God, is this a movie? And no, it was a game, right? Well, this trailer, I think, has the same impact. You watch this and you go, wow, this looks really interesting, really well done, really fucking cool. It's kind of awesome fantasy Star Wars shit. And then at the end of it, what they reveal is this is made by Quantic Dream, which is led by David Cage and some other guy who I forget his name. So CR3D says, yeah, but why are people so mad? Quantic Dream is a fine dev team. I'm sure it will be great for what kind of game they want to do. Here's the issue with what people are upset about. So, and I had to get educated on this because in the past when I had talked about Quantic Dream and David Cage and his partner being sued, one of our members here, Ricardo Estevez, who is a journalist, was like, well, you should probably look into that before you call him a bad guy because the court said he was innocent. And so I was just like, yeah, maybe people need to do their research more. But then I had a number of people reach out to me today and say, well, here's what happened. So there were 2 or 3 French publications that did exposés on Quantic Dream, and in it there were a number of really terrible examples of rampant homophobia, rampant sort of all the shit you hear from Activision, Ubisoft, what happened, Boys Club, cruelty to women, all this shit. Just really a toxic environment, right? And Quantic Dream sued them for libel. And Quantic Dream lost to one of the companies that they sued. They won another one, which is what people are talking about when they say the court didn't find him guilty. One company wasn't found guilty of libel, according to the reporting, because they wouldn't give up their source, not because what was being claimed that Quantic Dream did was not accurate, right? And I'll tell you, here's some of the stuff he said, just so you get some context. And today, this is coming up because today there was a hashtag going around called hashtag Star Wars Eclipse Blackout or something. And it was basically a lot of people wanting to bring attention to the fact that Lucasfilm or LucasArts or whatever the fuck they're called these days really needs to stand up and say this is bad. Star Wars Explained says, David Cage has a history of disgusting behavior, especially towards women and the queer community. Star Wars Eclipse really had me excited, but we will not be covering the game while Cage is involved. This guy, some dude, I don't know, hang on, I gotta sneeze, hang on. Excuse me, fellas. He says, if you're not familiar with Blackout Star Wars Eclipse, hashtag get familiar. As fans, the most we can do is stand with and support our LGBT plus family and the Star Wars community and keep politely pestering Lucasfilm to consider. So here are the accusations, though. I want to tell you. He said, I don't know if I have them with me, but he said stuff. It was just like, let me fucking find it because you gotta hear some of this because it's just like, oh, dude, that's, and I've never met the guy. I've seen the guy at E3. This is an E3 show, walking around. You know, I've always thought he was kind of an arrogant fella, but I mean, that's, that doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. But apparently there were like photoshopped images of employees doing the Nazi salute, and he was talking about, and he says all the women in my game are whores. He says we don't make games for FAGs and stuff like that. Danny Sullivan says evidence. Well, yeah, there is evidence in the court cases. The court basically said one of these magazines, I think they were Le Monde. One of the magazines, they were like, no, they accused this, and this was not libel. It occurred. It's not woke mob shenanigans. Don't care. I'm sorry, CR3D, you're just simply fucking wrong. It's not woke. What is woke about this, man? What the fuck is woke about wanting to call a company? Look, if a company was making a game about Donald Trump and what a great guy he is and how he's a hero, I would 100% support their right to do that, even though I think the guy was a nightmare. If a company's even making a game about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a right-wing issue, the Second Amendment needing to be absolutely restrictive-free, even though I'm not a fan of that idea, I would absolutely promote or support a company doing that. This is a company that the courts have said is doing, is insulting the employees, insulting the women, insulting the gay folks over there, crunching the employees, and the court is like, yeah, we have evidence of that. The only reason they lost one of the cases was because the journalist wouldn't give up his source. What the fuck is woke about that? I mean, I'm not trying to call you out, although there's your text on the screen. I'm not trying to call you out because I'm just trying to be a call outer. What the fuck, Jeffy? I'm trying to call you out because I really want to understand where you're coming from. How is that woke mob shenanigans? Would you want to work at Quantum Dream in that kind of environment? A different era dropped super chat. He says, good and gay. If you don't know what good and gay means, you got to watch one of the earlier streams, or I'll tell you later. Wolfblood says it's woke. What's woke about it? Don't treat people like shit, especially people that need you for their livelihood that you've agreed to do a job for. How is that woke? Kudan says he thinks talking against abuse of humans is woke. I don't really get that. CR says, weird, we've known this about Cage for years, yet these women in marginalized groups somehow still want to work there. Can you not get a job anywhere else? Well, number one, I don't think where have these accusations been? And we're going to move off this. This isn't a big show about David Cage, but we're going to move off this. But when you say we've known about this for years, can you please send me a link to any evidence that suggests that before these magazines dropped these reports that there were, suggestions that David Cage was this guy or his partner was this guy? That's question number one. But regardless, though, your sentence makes no sense. He says, weird, we've known this about Cage for years. Let's assume he's right. I don't think he is, but let's assume he is. He has evidence, okay? Yet these women in marginalized groups somehow still want to work there. Can you not get a job anywhere else? Okay, but let's for the moment assume they can't. Let's for the moment assume they're awful. The only place that will hire them is a shithead like David Cage is alleged to be, and that the court said, he might really be one. Does that give someone the right to treat them like shit because they can only get a job at one place? I mean, that's basically what you're saying. I don't really think, because I've seen you on the chats before, I don't really think you're that much of an asshole. I think probably what it is you, and I understand, you as somebody maybe who is more right-wing feels assaulted and annoyed by the left, or your perception that the left is always telling you how to think, how to feel, what is right, what is wrong, and I get that. But I would beg of you, when you're hearing stories like this, to allow yourself to parse it a little bit more before you make a call, because this is not right-wing, left-wing. This is just human rights, man. This is people being treated like shit, where a court has said, I don't know about that. But here's an even bigger story. Here's what I don't really get. So Quantum Dream has been accused. The fans say, we don't like it. Lucas, do something about it. And they do this big Star Wars, blackout Star Wars. Sounds great. But where are they when they're complaining about Ubisoft? I don't understand that. Ubisoft has been accused of sexual harassment, sexual assault, toxic work environments, and Lucas went to them, and they're making a Star Wars game. So I'm just kind of like, all right, well, I get it, folks who were going after Quantum Dream and telling Lucas to pull that or to do something with David Cage, fine. Maybe that'll happen, maybe that won't happen. But how are they doing that where Ubisoft literally has unions and court cases in France where they are saying Ubisoft hasn't really done anything? It's been over a year to change their ways. I don't understand that. CR, I'm not going to get into it with you. He says, accused, Jaffe, accused. You know how many bogus charges are made in the workplace out of spite? I'm sure there are some. There may even be a lot. That's why I said what I said about Jeff Keighley and Activision, which I said I wouldn't mention Activision. I know some people think he should have, and I'm like, until they have been found guilty, they're innocent. And I liked how he didn't call them out, not because I think he should have been afraid to call them out, but because it's like, look, they haven't been found guilty of it yet, as far as I know. In this case, CR, the court did find him guilty. Or not guilty, but the only reason it wasn't a trial against David Cage as a human, you're going to jail or having a civil trial. It was it liable? And the court said, no, what they printed was accurate. So I'm sorry, you're painting with too broad of a brush. Kudan says, to be fair, people will go bananas with Ubisoft Star Wars and won't be against it as the Quantum Dream one. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that is? Danny Sullivan says, come back, Danny Sullivan. He says, New South Park was making fun of NFTs. We're going to get into NFTs in just a little bit. We've been trying to get to them the last 3 shows. We'll get to them today. Alan says the reason is because there's hate for Quantum Dream because of all the slander and stuff, and people believe everything they read. Ubisoft, there is actual proof, but nobody cares. Yeah, but first off, again, Alan, people can believe everything they read. I've read both sides of it. I'm telling you, I mean, unless the court is lying and the reporting about what the court said is lying, they're saying what was written about Quantum Dream is not libel, which means it's accurate, right? For the most part. And Ubisoft, there's also actual proof. So why do you think Quantum Dream is not getting a pass, but Ubisoft is? Ubisoft is great at being the generic publisher that people don't have high enough standards for people to care, says Bookster. I mean, it could be. It could be. Oh my God, dude. CR3D. I'm not dealing with it. I'll read it, then I'm going to move on because I won't be able to get through to you. And that's okay. And I'm just going to bore everybody else that either agrees. He says, then why are people still working there? Why can't they get a job somewhere else? I'm a 3D artist. If I had that resume, I could work anywhere. You may be right. I question why people would work at Activision. I question why people would work in AAA at all. I question why people would work in certain presidential administrations. But just because you and I don't understand, or just because you and I have options, and I think everyone has options, but let's just say CR3D, we're cut from that same cloth, you and me, buddy. And we both feel if something's bad, we have been raised in such a way by our parents and society to say, fuck this, I don't care if I gotta struggle, I'm not gonna debase myself like these people are. Okay, great. But then what you're really saying is, if you're not the kind of guy I am, then you deserve to suffer? Not everybody is like you. Not everybody is capable of seeing the forest for the trees. Not everybody has the options that you have. So I'm thrilled that you're offering that as a possibility, but it sounds like you're basically forgiving the bad behavior of the company simply because some people aren't able to get out of that job. I don't know, man. You kind of sound like an asshole, pal. Okay. I don't understand, says Eric. If the court found what the magazine printed was accurate, has there been no legal repercussion? I don't know if they broke the law. I don't know if it's illegal to say we don't make games for FAGs. I don't know if it's illegal to say all of my games have whores in them or all of the women in my games are whores. It's not an illegal thing they did. This was a libel case. This was a reputation at stake. This wasn't about this isn't China. There are laws, I believe, against hate speech in certain countries in Europe, but I don't think this moved into that category. Okay. I do wonder if they can do Star Wars without the more action-oriented combat, unless they suddenly get a combat designer who's experienced. Yeah, I don't have a mod in here. Where's my mods? They're all busy. Goddamn Spider-Man going motherfuckers. All right, Novodamus, I'll make you a mod. I know exactly who you're talking about, too. You, Novodamus, should be a mod at this point. Thank you, sir. I very much appreciate it, buddy. Jaffe, yeah, but as to what Eternal's saying about the game itself, I mean, from that trailer, it looks action-oriented, but it could, Detroit Become Human had some action in it. But it's clearly, you remember what Traveler's Tales did? You can clearly make a game in an action universe where it's still more about exploring and puzzles and talking to other characters. So, I don't particularly like David Cage games, although I thought there was some brilliance in Detroit Become Human. But I certainly think that for people who like what he does, I'm sure if they are allowed to continue making it, it should be a pretty good game. Stefan says, Jaffe, isn't it interesting that you're able to stream and not stress about income because you were ruthless and passionate when you were young, but now you say that work obsession isn't a good thing? Isn't it interesting that you're able to, well, I was not ruthless, but I was passionate and I worked my ass off when I was young. Now you say that work obsession isn't a good thing. I don't know if I've ever said work obsession isn't a good thing. I'm not one of these people that thinks if you're 24, and in fact, I'm one of these people that has basically said if you want to make great shit, you're going to have to crunch like a motherfucker. And if you go work at Naughty Dog and you complain about crunch, you're a fucking moron because you know what that company is, right? So I think absolutely, whether you're 22 or 82, if you still have gas in the tank and you want to fucking, as Steve Jobs said, put a dent in the universe, then go do it. We need people like that. But I'm saying for me, I slayed those demons. I slayed those demons of ambition with that particular career. And I don't feel the need to do it anymore. I don't know where you get the idea that I'm suggesting that working your ass off is not a good thing, though. I think as long as you're willing to pay the price and what comes with it. Okay. I remember Wicked Snake. Omicron the Nomad Soul was one of Quantum Dream's first games. David Bowie was in it. Yeah, it was. And I remember playing it. It was like, I don't think you could call it open world, but it was kind of one of the first open world games, and it was cyberpunk, and it was Blade Runner, and it was a very rough around the edges game, but there was something cool about being in your first kind of open world that felt like you were really living in the space. I'm going to bring in this fella called Palma Creations. If we have a sound bug, give me a couple of minutes, because I'm trying some different sound stuff tonight. Okay. Palma, can you hear me? Palma Creations. All right, well, if you're there, speak up, pal. I'm here for you. Okay. It does look like the scope of the game, talking about Star Wars Eclipse, is more vast than what we're used to in more recent Star Wars games, so I like that. Yeah, and I think it's clear that what Ubisoft is doing, like, I don't think anybody fully expects Beyond Good and Evil 2 to make it out of the gate. But if you look at Beyond Good and Evil 2 from back in the day, even though I know a lot of people got upset, because of it wasn't a proper sequel, that looked like Grand Theft Auto in space. And from what I understand, right, they're using Ubisoft, at least, is using the Division team and director and engine to make this game, which is open world. So I think it could be really cool. I just want a damn Star Wars game that doesn't have you playing another friggin' Jedi, says CR3D. Well, we'll see what it is. I don't know what it is yet. Palma. Brian De Palma Creations, are you there?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Let me know if there's an echo, fellas. What do you want to talk about, sir?
Hey, what's up, Jeffy? Great fan of yours, by the way.
Thank you very much.
A great fan of yours, by the way.
Thank you.
A little bit off topic, but I really wanted to know your thoughts about mergers and acquisitions, and how do you think they're going to affect the gaming industry, like in the next 3 to 5 business years? We've seen that Sony has been super aggressive with acquisitions this year. So just wanted to know, like, what do you think, how do you think the gaming industry is going to be like in the next few years? Do you think like all the big independent publishers that we currently have right now are going to be owned just by like a few companies?
I do. I remember sitting, this was back in it must have been like 1997, and I was sitting in the Foster City Sony offices with the guy who ran the company. And he was predicting exactly what you're saying. Because we were talking about all the publishers. I think we were talking about we might have to cancel a game. And we felt really bad about it. And I said, well, do they have it in their contract where they can go to other publishers? And he says, yeah, we usually give people that option, that if we cancel it, as long as they can pay us back the development cost, they can shop it around to other publishers. And we're like, well, thank God, because there was like 25 video game publishers at the time just in America that they could go to. But he said, that's not going to matter so much down the road, because it's going to be like the movie industry. You're going to have 3 to 4 to 5 publishers, and that's it. So I think you're absolutely right. And I think, honestly, if you look, and this is not me banging the Game Pass drum, it really is not. I'm not trying to talk about that. I'm just telling you that as a Game Pass user, I mean, let's just take this. Let's look at the amount of money that Microsoft is spending on content for that channel, whether it's first party or day one drops, like the Gunk just dropped yesterday, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, or second party, whatever. And even today, the creative director of Halo came out and was like, our future events will not be as greedy. And, he's just like, we're not going to put all the stuff in the shop again. We're going to let you unlock a lot more cosmetics through play. That's not a company that is running a free-to-play model because they're fucked if it doesn't work, right? That's a company that can afford to take losses in order to build market share, because that decision is going to cost them money, but it's going to probably gain them subscribers and keep that game going for a long time. So when you play something like Game Pass and you just see the constant drop and it starts to become second nature, before you buy a game, you check if it's coming to Game Pass. I think it's going to cost more and more and more money to play in this particular show. And yeah, I absolutely think. I mean, I know right now people say Sony can't afford it. I think Sony's going to have to afford it. They're going to have to figure out a way to do it if they can't, because it looks like Game Pass is going to be the future. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. This is not about Game Pass, but subscription services, just like the movies, is coming. And the only way to compete in that world is by acquiring more companies that can make you exclusive. So I agree. I think you're absolutely right.
Do you think they would ever be as aggressive as even acquiring like a publisher? I know that a lot of people say that probably a lot of people don't think they would acquire a publisher like, let's say, like Square Enix or Capcom. But do you think they would even consider acquiring just
Sure.
afraid?
I think they would if they need to. Right now, I think what they're looking at is, and again, a lot of hardcore Sony fanboys will tell you I'm wrong, and that's fine. But I think what Sony's looking at is stay the course. We're the number one selling hardware. All this Xbox, the sky is falling, Game Pass shit has not come to pass. Why would we change anything? Okay, and they're right if nothing changes. But I'm telling you something's going to change. And if it does change, like I'm saying, which a lot of people are saying, and Sony has to compete with Game Pass, they're going to do what they can afford to do and have to do in order to compete. And if that means buying a Capcom, which they can't afford, I mean, I don't know if they can afford. I know they have the money in the bank. I don't know if they can afford to spend it. But I know in terms of what Capcom's valued at and what Sony's valued at. But I mean, if they have to go out and buy a Capcom in order to compete or fail, I assume they would do it. Sure. But I don't think right now they feel they need to do it. And they're right. In the short term, they don't need to do it. But they better, I hope they have their ear to the train track, because I think Game Pass is going to change a lot of things once it starts going.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Thank you for answering my question.
Anytime. Call back anytime, buddy. Thank you, sir. I'm predicting Epic Games, says Bookster, will eventually be... Hey, what's on the screen? Are you guys even seeing the show? There we go. I'm predicting Epic Games will... why is that not appearing on the screen? Hang on, fellas. Oh, because it's down there, you old so-and-sos. What is going on, you crazy kids? I'm predicting Epic Games will be one of the big publishers as long as Tencent doesn't buy them. I think it's a great point. I think, what did Epic do the other day, right? Epic has, well, okay, I mean, even that, it's a great example. Epic Games is doing their Christmas thing again, right? Epic Games right now is doing every day until Christmas and maybe beyond, they're giving free games away. Now, they're not giving away Halo, or they're not giving, but what they're showing is, yeah, when you have Fortnite money, when you have Unreal Engine money, when you want to make a store compete with Steam, it's not costing more and more to make money as a developer, because you can play in the indie space and hope you do well. But if you want to compete as a publisher, it's becoming staggeringly expensive. And so I think that's a great point, Bookster, that it could be Epic, it could be Microsoft. Nintendo's a hard one to call, but I don't know. Optimism says Sony had $44 billion in cash last year. Now they have $16 billion this quarter. What happened to their cash? I don't know. Maybe the bills on Drawn to Death came due. I don't know. 21 Kiloton says, I think you nailed it when you compared the CCP to the National Socialist regime. Besides, they are taking over games because it's a way to dictate ideology. If people put up with it. Stefan says, Jaffe, do you still sometimes get tired of talking about games like you used to? I remember in the past you occasionally couldn't bring yourself to game news coverage. I completely empathize. Well, what happened to me, Stefan, was a couple of things. One is, as I shifted to focus more on game news stuff, I found myself, I was always a gamer, but I found myself playing a lot more games. And as I've said this numerous times in the stream, I got to be a fan for the first time since I got into the industry. And in that, I fell in love with the medium all over again. And I think, let me just say this, I'm enjoying video games now more than I wouldn't say ever, but certainly since I'm enjoying games now. The last time I enjoyed games as much as I enjoy them now, I was in college. It was like 1993. And once I went into the business, I couldn't do it. I loved them, but I couldn't enjoy them like a fan. And so for me, it's become a lot easier to talk about games and gush and enthuse and criticize games, because I experience them in a much more fan way now. Mad God says, love and respect to you, Jaffe, and all the Diet Soda soldiers here in chat. Sir, I appreciate that. I see that you're not currently a Diet Soda soldier, and you don't have to be, but I do want to give you a gift regardless. Here's a picture of my future wife. This is the future Miss X's Jaffe. There you go, Melissa Benoist. I'm going to steal her away from the guy who played the Legion of Superhero character, and she's going to be my lady. Hey, Jaffe says, Bookster, do you have a prediction on who will be the 5-10 publishers when all's said and done? I don't think there'll be 5 to 10 major publishers. I would just be pulling names out of my butthole. I mean, I think the guy who said Epic is right. I think, obviously, Microsoft. I think Tencent, tragically, is right. Smilegate, maybe, is right. I don't think Ubisoft. I don't think Ubisoft is. So yeah, those would be the ones that I would at least top of mind would come to mind. Mr. Brawl 96 says, Jaffe, can I get a shout out? My brother listens every week. Well, he can get a shout out. Mr. Brawl's brother 96, good to listen to you. Good. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I appreciate you listening, sir. Why ain't your brother listening every week? What the fuck's he got going on? Ain't much. I can tell by his avatar. His avatar looks like a little man wearing a MAGA hat taking a piss. So I don't know what the fuck Mr. Brawl 96 is doing, but to you, the brother of Mr. Brawl 96, thank you so much for being a listener of the show. I really appreciate it, man. If there ever will be 5 to 10 publishers, says Andreas, Tencent will be first. Man, I don't know. I really hope to God that Tencent, that what we're seeing like today on NeoGAF, that people really do start to push back. I really hope the West starts to push back, because this is a little fucking ridiculous. Let's move the fuck on. Let me have a little sip of the bubbly here. Oh my God, that's good. And I'm not drinking Diet Coke today. I'm drinking orange juice. Why don't you drink water, Jeffy? I do drink water sometimes. Not today. Hey, good, congratulations. Wicked Snake says, I managed to get a PS5 today. Sony has been reaching out to people directly in order for people to buy them. I got lucky. I've joined the next-gen family. Good for you, sir. What games did you get? It is a great system. I love my PS5. I love when I first got the DualSense, where is it? It's probably on the floor. When I first got the DualSense, I didn't like it as much. Here it is. Hang on. I did not like it as much as Microsoft's controller because this just fit better in my hands, the Microsoft controller, the Xbox controller. But over time, I have fallen in love with this goddamn controller. I still play more on my Series X lately because of Halo and I like the quick resume. But in Game Pass and all that. But when you get a game that runs on PS5, it just feels so substantial and chunky in your hands, and I fucking love it. But congrats for joining. Maybe you can join us on a future game night when we're doing PS5 games. I'm happy for you, buddy. I know those things are hard to get. Hey, you have that little dude in that E.T. movie. Look at your icon. Yeah, Eternal says, I have never used a more comfortable controller. I was worried about it being too bulky. It's just right, perfectly balanced. Yeah, it feels great. Mike says, have you checked out the Matrix Unreal 5 demo? I started to. I did the car chase, but I haven't finished it. I had to leave, and I'll get back to it. Okay, here we go. This is more of a question because I don't understand the appeal. Okay, look at your screen here if you would. If you're driving around in your automobile, don't worry about it. I'll walk you through what you're seeing. It's a story about Nintendo today coming out and announcing the Sega Genesis collection for Nintendo Switch Online is getting 5 new games. Altered Beast, Dynamite Headdy, Sword of Vermilion, Thunder Force 2, and Toe Jam and Earl. Okay? Mac and Me, that's what it's called. And I'm going to play this in the background while we're talking. I'm not going to let the sound come on now. And I guess what I'm curious about is, I mean, I played these games. I played these Genesis games, all of them. We had them at the office. I bought Altered Beast the day I bought my Sega Genesis for the first time in college. Who cares about this? And I don't mean that disrespectfully, like who cares about historical preservation or who cares about classics. But is this something, like, Altered Beast is a terrible game. Altered Beast does not hold up at all. None of these games do. Toe Jam and Earl does a little bit more, but I'm just curious if, and maybe everybody in the chat agrees with me, but is anybody looking at this announcement today and going, oh, I'm super fucking excited this weekend. I don't want to play Halo. I don't want to play Returnal. I don't want to play, whatever, Battlefield 2042 Portal. I'm excited to jump into Sword of Vermilion. I don't really get it. Eternal says everyone has their preference, but I can't stand you're talking about the controllers. Wiki says you can get those games included in the Sega Master Drive Classic collection on PS4 and Xbox. Morgan says, I think it's a joke. It's not a joke. It's actually real. It's coming out. Is this Thunder Force 2? This looks like Xevious, but I don't know what this one is. Well, Max Blaze says Altered Beast is a classic, though. Well, yeah, well, so is Citizen Kane, but I don't want to fucking watch it unless I'm in a film history class. So, I mean, look, no one in the chat is saying, dude, no, I can't fucking wait to play it. I underestimate the power of nostalgia, says Flamore. I don't underestimate the power of nostalgia. I understand it very well, but look at that guy, he's like fucking the era. Nostalgia's great, but how many times can you get burnt by touching the hot stove? I've long since learned, as much as I was a kid who grew up with Atari and ColecoVision, and I pined after those games because I thought they would make me feel the way I felt when I was a kid, which was great. Ultimately, after you play a couple of them, you're like, oh, yeah, this never really feels as good as I thought it was going to. So when you learn, right, Optimism says nostalgia's good for about 15 minutes. So I'm just curious. They built an entire system around these really fucking old games, and I just don't really get it, and I thought somebody would, but it doesn't sound like it. Jokey, thank you very much. Jokey comes in and says, take some of my money, you son of a bitch, and go get your nose fixed. Aw, thanks, Jokey. I appreciate it, pal. You're salt of the earth, baby. Salt of the goddamn earth. These games are everywhere. Hey, what do we got there? There's a super chat, but there's no text. But that was you, Jokey. I got to figure that out. Sorry about that. These games are everywhere, says Eternal. Feels like this collection is past its prime. Not really concerned with similar subs having better offerings. Yeah, it's very strange. Jokey says, do you think Microsoft buys EA, makes sports games exclusive? That would put Sony on its knees. Oh my God. It would put Sony on its knees for a while, and then they would have to get back into creating their own sports games. I mean, we talked yesterday. I was incredibly impressed and surprised to see MLB The Show as high as it was on the year-end ranking list. That was insane to me. I was like, wow, I knew it was a big seller for Sony, but I didn't know it was that big of a seller. So I'm sure if they had to get back in the ring with basketball and football, they could, but then the question becomes, would they be able to get the NFL license or share it like they used to back in the day? And if they can't, would it even be worth making it for? But you're absolutely right. If EA got purchased by Microsoft, and again, these are big ifs, I don't fucking know, but there was a time where no one thought 20th Century Fox could be bought by Disney. But if EA got purchased by Microsoft and they still retain the rights to those games, those sports games, I think it would be a drastic hit to Sony. Because then you're talking day one drops in Game Pass of Madden, NBA. I guess, NBA 2K shares. No, NBA is only 2K. So there's no whatever they used to call it from EA basketball. They only have FIFA, which is huge, and football. So, but yeah, I think it would be huge, because when you look at the best-selling games of 2012, it's Call of Duty, and then it's Battlefield 2042, and it's Madden, and it's FIFA, and I think it was the basketball game. Those are in the top 5. So, Darkstorm says, I'm not impressed by EA Sports. They're all the same. It, again, doesn't matter. It does not make a good goddamn bit of difference. I'll show you on your screen. If you weren't watching the stream yesterday, NPD 2021 best-selling video games. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but I want to show you what they said. Here we go. This is pretty interesting. The best-selling, if you look at your screen, if not, don't worry, I'll talk you through it. And I see you blind one in the calling room. I'll bring you in a second. This was just for November. Let's go to the 10 best-selling games of 2021 so far. Call of Duty Black Ops, then Call of Duty Vanguard. Then we have Madden, MLB The Show, RE Village, Battlefield, which is EA as well. And if you actually go down to the top 10 best-selling games of the last 12 months, What gets added onto that is nothing. I thought the basketball game was on there as well. But yeah, I mean it would be a really big fucking deal for sure. And even though I understand Darkstorm that you're not impressed with them, all you have to do is look at the charts and you go, oh, well, you may not be impressed with them, but people buy them like fucking water in the desert. Angel says, I think Microsoft's acquiring Ubisoft next. They both have subscription service. It seems like they have the same vision. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Ubisoft would. I don't know why any of these companies sell. If you're EA, you're doing great. If you're Ubisoft, you're doing better than you ever have. Last year was huge for them. I don't know what would motivate them to say, let's sell this company. Isn't EA Play on Game Pass? It is. It's free on Game Pass Ultimate, I think. All right, I'm going to bring... I mean, I have it. I have Game Pass Ultimate. I don't know if it's also on Game Pass normal or if you have to upgrade to the Ultimate. The blind one. It's Jaffe. Are you there? Are you there, pal?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
What's up?
I just had a quick question regarding the Quantic Dream segment that I didn't get to... I thought about it later on, so I just wanted to run it by you real quick.
Okay.
So I guess the thing is like, isn't it... What happened to the whole separating the art from the artist thing? Like, I mean, yeah, you have shitty people that do shitty things all the time, but, I mean, can't we separate that and enjoy it for what it is? Why does it always have to be, yeah, but he did this, he did that, even though, you know, some things can be bad, but, I mean, I'm sure there's other people that work at Quantic Dream that are excited about this project that, you know, maybe they're, you know, maybe they want people to be excited too, you know?
I mean, it's a good point, but at the same time, the question of whatever happened to separating the art from the artist, I don't think that was ever a thing. I don't think that was ever reconciled. I think ultimately it's probably like anything else where everyone has their line. You know, I have companies I will not do business with because they've crossed that line for me. There are entertainers that I won't give my money to because they've crossed that line for me. But the line is different for everyone. And so
Right.
No one is suggesting, like, ultimately the decision, because I don't think these companies are, a couple of them are, but most of them aren't sitting around going, we just want to be good people. They want to make the most money. I think just like firing Roseanne or firing and then rehiring James Gunn, a company like Disney, which owns Lucas, is going to look at it and go, are there enough people that are unwilling to separate this particular artist from this particular product? And if there are enough people to hurt our bottom line, either from a PR standpoint or a literal purchasing standpoint, we're going to shut it down. I mean, the math is as simple as that. It's got nothing to do with this was more or less egregious. It's why Bobby Kotick still has a job. I mean, if you look at the top of the best-selling games the last 12 months are his games. And then there's also the Blizzard shit on the PC side. So they don't give a fuck. They might personally, but as a company, they don't. So separating the art from the artist, I don't know. You know, that's a personal choice. Like, I won't eat at Chick-fil-A because I'm pro LGBT rights, but a lot of people will. That's okay. It's not my call. That's what I think.
No, that makes sense. I guess I was just looking at it from kind of like the standpoint of, I'm sure that there's you know, like you talked about before, there's probably a lot of people that don't even have a clue about what's going on with Activision and Blizzard and Bobby Kotick and who continue to buy these games all the time. I guess I was just kind of looking at it from a different perspective of, you know, this is something new in the Star Wars universe. You know, give it a chance, I guess.
Well, I don't think they're complaining about the game. They're saying, look, this guy and his company, he treats people like shit, and we want this game, but we would prefer it not to be made or given to a company that is so nefarious, at least allegedly so. So,
right.
There's in the chat right now is, I mean, like, we've got Snake saying the creator of Earthworm Jim has problems with gay people, but I like Earthworm Jim, right? And then someone's talking about Jimi Hendrix says Stefan assaulted his girlfriends. Where's the other one? Somebody was talking about David Bowie slept with underage girls. I mean, that wasn't out, like, you know, I didn't know that. But at the time, if it would have been made public, it probably would have ended his career. It's why a lot of the people back in the 70s and 80s that were gay were in the closet because they were just like, you know, it'll fuck my career up if people know that shit. So, all right, man, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much, buddy. Call back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks.
There it goes into the night. I appreciate that call. Interesting. And like somebody says in the chat, we are all hypocrites. So, absolutely true. Jokey says, here you go, you old son of a bitch, for another pint. Happy holidays. There you go, buddy. Happy holidays right back. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Morgan Redfield says, I refuse to touch the Harry Potter franchise, games, and movies. I'm assuming it's because of J.K. Rowling and her anti-trans sentiment. Yeah, you're saying I won't let Rowling make a cent off of me. So, I did just see that, you know, that is gaining some momentum, the anti-J.K. Rowling stuff. So, you know, we'll see if it affects the new Harry Potter game. We'll see if it affects, there was like some Quidditch league. Obviously, it's not real Quidditch because that's impossible. You know, we'll see if there's enough anger over it. So yeah, one guy in the chat, HMA, says, I'm so going to touch the Harry Potter games. Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. What are you talking about, Jaffe? Last time I went to Chick-fil-A, a gay kid took my order, says Bane. What I'm talking about is if you look at where some of their profits go, they donate their profits to places that are really, really bad, and they tried to cover it up and say we don't do that anymore, but then a number of companies or journalists did research, and they're still going to companies allegedly that are anti-LGBT and that are gay conversion therapy and all that shit. Okay. Oh, Rob the Mod. Hello, Rob. Rob says the YouTube chat was broken. What the fuck? That's bad to know. Even John Lennon beat his wife, says Snake. People still listen to his music like the Beatles. It's a different time, though, man. It was an absolutely different time. I mean, Chris Brown will never, as he shouldn't, probably, although hopefully he's grown and become a different person, shake the stink off of being a guy who beat Rihanna. There are so many game studios that have issues. If we knew everything, no AAA game would be safe. Yeah, but I think that's kind of what the whole motivation is let's, you know, people are like, let's fix this shit. All right, let's move the fuck on, though. Let's get into some pure gaming news at this point, shall we? I think it's time. I think we've earned it. Let's shake the stink of, you know, God, the industry's kind of rotten sometimes, and let's talk about some fun stuff. This list came out today. I found this list fascinating. This is the most retired games. Yesterday we looked at a list from the same people at How Long to Beat, which were the games that went on people's backlist the most and the games that most people completed. Resident Evil Village was the number one game that most people completed. These are the games that people played and put away and said, I can't finish it. For whatever reason, these are the top games that people did not finish in 2021. There's a lesson here if you're a designer. I've only recently started looking at this list, but I'm not sure what the lesson is. 12 minutes I started. I didn't play it. We should go backwards, but fuck it, it's too late now. The number one roast tired game is 12 minutes. I played it for about 12 minutes and I moved on with my life. Loop Hero I haven't played, heard it's great. The Ascent I loved for the first hour and a half, and then I was just kind of bored of it, but it was beautiful. Outriders I adored, but I could not stick with it. I don't know why. After a while, it just, you know, there was too many things like it that were better, maybe, I don't know, but I hear the DLC is great. I enjoyed Outriders. I thought the story was great in that game too. The Medium, I appreciated what they were trying to do. There are times that that developer Team Bloober is amazing, but this was not one of their biggest smashes. There were too many kind of quality of life issues I had with this game, so I stopped this after about 2 or 3 hours. Returnal, yeah, I mean, Returnal is one of the best games of the year. I understand why people don't finish it, but it's brilliant. Soulstorm, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, you goddamn right. You goddamn right, because this is nostalgia, man. This is, you got to be careful. This is why when people say, Jaffe, tell Sony to make another SOCOM. Jaffe, tell Sony to make a Twisted Metal, which they probably are at this point. I say, well, make sure that's not your nostalgia talking. Make sure that you really think there's a way that that particular title can thrive in the current market. And I think Abe's Odyssey people have a lot of nostalgic affection for. I played a little bit of Soulstorm just to kind of go, oh, this is kind of cool. It's cool to see next-gen Abe's Odyssey. But it was the same fucking game, and after about 20 minutes, I was pretty much done. Back for Blood, just not a great game. It's fine, but it's very rinse repeat. It gets boring very quickly. Cyber Shadow was one of those games that I was very excited about. If you don't know Cyber Shadow, it's kind of like an 8-bit. It's almost like The Messenger, but it's more archaic. And some people loved it. I played it for 20 minutes, thought it was terrible, and stopped playing it. And then Biomutant. What the fuck is Biomutant? I don't even remember. But yeah, here you go. Top most retired game is Biomutant, Cyber Shadow, Back for Blood, Oddworld, Returnal, The Medium, Outriders, Ascent, Loop Hero, 12 Minutes. Out of all of these games, only 2 of them stand out to me as things that if I was the developer, I wouldn't worry about it, because that's just simply the kind of game they made. You're not going to get more people finishing Returnal unless you start to harm some of the things that make it so great. 12 Minutes, I know people played it and loved it, and it may be if they fixed some of the things I didn't like, which it was just paced boringly, it may kill what makes it special. Pete Olivia says, my favorite on this list were Returnal, Me Too, and Cyber Shadow. Okay. Yeah, you also got another guy saying Cyber Shadow is fun. Oh, you're the same guy. And then Troy says, I beat Cyber Shadow. It was so hard after I beat it, I was still mad at it. That's right. Sony would make a new Twisted Metal without consulting you. I am under the impression, simply from the reporting, not because I have any inside data, and if I did, I wouldn't share it, that the guys who made Destruction All-Stars are making a new Twisted Metal. And in that, I have not been consulted. I've had the TV people reach out to me more than, which is a lot, that are making the TV show Twisted Metal. No one's reached out to me about the game, which is, they're right. They don't owe me a reach out, or reach around. What? But yeah, no, they haven't. Okay, I want to talk about this briefly. And I don't even, great, Jeffy, that sounds fun for us. I don't know what I want to say about this yet. This is a screenshot of the Gunk. This dropped yesterday. It dropped on Game Pass. It's sitting at around a 71, 72 Metacritic the last time I checked. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Troy's filming. Troy says they owe you a reach around for sure. God. Okay. No, Ben, is Back for Blood even ballpark as good as Left 4 Dead? I don't think so. Okay. So the Gunk is interesting because I played it last night. It's on Game Pass. I'm trying to get my head around the Game Pass effect, or the subscription service effect. There have been 2 games recently. One is the Gunk and one is Chorus, which is a space shooter open world. They're both, and I've enjoyed them both. Neither of them will probably be on my top 10 list, for whatever that's worth to anybody, but just to give you a sense of how much I enjoyed them. But I really think both of them are really good. But they really both are games that, comparatively speaking, I think it makes sense to say it's a 7 out of 10 or a 75. Just taking the Gunk, for example. But, and if I spent 60 or 40 or however much it is, I would feel not good about it. But it being on Game Pass, and I know, and the reason I'm struggling with this is because there's a way to talk about this, but the way that it's been spoken about before has been negative, where people say, oh, well, that's a Game Pass game because it's not really good, or it's just okay. And that's not what I'm trying to communicate. There's something, other forms of entertainment have this, and it's not looked at as disrespectfully as, oh, the Gunk's a Game Pass game, or it's not looked at as disrespect. Like most pieces of entertainment you go see are probably 7 out of 10s. But 7 out of 10s in video games, maybe because most games have the same price, at least if you're console gaming, and a $60 game is a lot of money, and if you can get one that's rated a 9, then of course a 7 is going to feel shit. But there's something about playing it on Game Pass that reminds me of watching, a good B movie, or a good sitcom that it may not be it may not be a comedy classic, but it scratches an itch, right? But I don't know how to communicate that to people. Caveman, it's a good point. Caveman says it happens with Netflix too. People say it's a Netflix movie like it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's like I think it is if you're talking about comparing a movie like, I'm trying to think of, I saw this super dumb romantic comedy last week, Christmas comedy. The guy who's in Silicon Valley, the Asian guy, catfishes this woman. It was called like The Hard Love or whatever. And it was a great, God, no. But was it just kind of a fun thing to put on the TV and chill and relax? Yeah, it was. And so in that was good, right? It scratched an itch. And when I was playing the Gunk last night, I went to bed really late last night because I was up till probably 3 o'clock in the morning playing the Gunk. It's not a very long game. I'll probably finish it tonight. But I was just playing it going, if you don't have Game Pass or a subscription service, a lot of people are gonna miss this game. A lot of people are gonna walk away and go, oh, that's got 70 Metacritic, fuck it. And they'll be missing out on a really good experience. And I think it maybe for the first time, just let me ramble for a minute. I don't mean to bore you. I really don't. Trust me. I don't want to bore anybody with this, but I'm trying to get my head around what I'm trying to say, because I think there's something in the Game Pass effect that maybe starts to allow gamers to see things more like critics, because critics for a long time in video games would say, why are you complaining it got a 7? A 7's not a bad score. A 7 is 2 points above average. But critics get all their games for free, right? Critics don't, they, even though they'll spend some of their own money on games and stuff, what they're playing that they're giving a 7, it's different when it's free or part of a subscription service and it feels free. A 7 doesn't feel as bad as a 7 when you pay for it, right? And right now, because you've got two kinds of 7s, you've got the 7s that come out as box product that you pay $40, $50, $60 for, and those kind of feel shitty. And then you've got the 7s like the Gunk or Chorus that come out and they're, quote, free, and they feel really, really good. Forget me not. I'm literally trying to have, and whether or not I've succeeded or not is would be all my fault if I've failed. But I'm trying to have a conversation that is actually a little deeper, because at a psychological, philosophical level and a designer level, I find it fascinating and I find it very important as it relates to how we talk about games and how we talk about the value of the medium. And you coming at people with, oh my God, this Game Pass propaganda. I said it's any subscription service. Please stop being a 5-year-old child. I know you're not 5 because, you can type a full sentence. There's no punctuation. It's all capitals, but you're probably not 5 years old. Okay? This is not propaganda for Game Pass. Everything is going service-based eventually. I'm sorry if you don't like that. That's not what we're talking about today. But that's where things are going. Just look at the fucking motion pictures. Look at TV. That's where we're going, baby. This is not about Game Pass at all. It's about Game Pass got there. They didn't even get there first, but they got there first with originals and day one drops, and that's why it's more relevant than, say, Gaikai or Sony PlayStation Now. Super G says, true, but when I pay for a 7, I squeeze all the juice out of it and force myself to think of it as a 10, like Marvel's Avengers. Yeah, but that's you just being delusional. I can't help you with that. Claymud says, I think the Gunk was okay. I wish it had more gameplay elements. I'm assuming that's why it is only 4 hours. How long did it take you to finish it? I played it. I really enjoyed it. The one thing I don't like about it so far is there's no map. And there is a lot of the levels look alike, or a lot of the biomes look alike. And that gets a little confusing. Darth Nugget says, you got to find a few people you trust who tend to like what you like and forget about reviews. Well, you don't even really need that eventually. Eventually, if you're going to download it and stream it and try it. I don't go off mainstream reviews anymore, says Wicked Snake. I go off a few YouTubers, and I trust the audience score on Metacritic. Okay, fair enough. I agree, says Optimism. I'm paying for something I expected to be worth the money. If it's free, then it costs me nothing. It's not good, it matters a lot less. Well, I still think it needs to be good, but I think I guess it's not even. I wouldn't even agree with what you're writing. I understand what you're saying, and if that's how you feel, that's great. But I'm not devaluing the Gunk because it's not as good as Halo. I'm saying that there's something that having a game like the Gunk or Chorus in my gaming diet brings to me that because of subscription services, I'm getting more of that nutrition that I've been longing for, which is it's nice to play something that is interesting and it's imaginative and it looks good and it's rough around the edges, or it's not perfect. It's not trying to be a game of the year contender. It's just this neat thing. There's something in me, at least, and maybe I'm alone, that feels like I like that. I don't like everything that I sit down to play having to be like, this is art. This is the moment. This is the game of the year. Sometimes it's just fun to play, stuff and just zone out and shit, I usually don't play those 7 of 10 games in my limited time when I have multiple 8s to 9s or 10s in my queue. I totally get that, Darkstorm, but I think that's kind of what I'm saying. It's not binary. It's not like, if I have a 9, it's going to be better than the 7. There's something about 7s that can scratch an itch that a 9 doesn't scratch. That's all I'm saying. The Gunk turned me off immediately, says Forget Me Not. Trying to do too much. Dev said, let's make the main... Oh, yeah, see, yeah. No. See, I knew that was going to piss some people off. Yeah. Let me read you the comment first, if you haven't played the Gunk. The Gunk turned me off immediately. He says, trying to do too much. Dev say, let's make the main character black. Okay, but that's not enough. Let's make him lesbian. Okay, that's not enough. Let's make him disabled as well. They really are this character, and I haven't finished it, so I don't know if they're lesbians, but it definitely seems like the two main characters are girlfriend. But yes, she's an amputee, and she's a black lady. And I obviously, being who I am, Mr. K will tell you I'm the most progressive guy he knows. I didn't have a problem with it. I like that. It's like, hey, there's more diversity. What do I care? It's nice to see people represented, and I'm good with it. But I knew some people would absolutely have a problem with it. All right, this is the incredible Af. Is that right? Are you there, buddy?
Hello.
Hello, what's up?
Hi. Hi, Dave. Yeah,
Hey.
I've just been following your channel just recently. It's come across you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for doing that.
Quite refreshing, compared to a lot of YouTubers out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about Xbox, really. Phil Spencer's always he was just saying that he wants some more kind of narrative-driven games on Xbox. I was just wondering, how do they attract those kind of developers that make their games, like the Naughty Dogs, those high-tier kind of story-driven producers of games? I
honestly, here's what I think it is. I think there are one of the things that I think pleasantly differentiates Microsoft from Sony and differentiates Sony from Microsoft is Xbox seems more meat and potatoes, and Sony seems more artistic, right? And so, like, even Halo, which is probably one of the best games their first-party group has ever put out without Bungie, it's got some angst and pathos and all that, but it doesn't feel like it's The Last of Us. It still feels like a big summer blockbuster. So I think so far they have historically shown themselves to be a company. Obviously, the Hellblade thing is not that, but that really doesn't seem to want to be, give our developers the ability to talk about in their games this nuanced political view or whatever. It's like, let's make entertainment first, right? But that aside, I think ultimately it's kind of like Steve Jobs said again, the A players want to play with A players. If you're someone who worked on Gears of War 5 with the Coalition, and you want to work on Naughty Dog quality stuff, you have two choices if you're good enough. You can either try to make change internally, which means trying to get Microsoft to continually, let games slip, spend more money on them, or you go to a company like a Naughty Dog, a Sony Santa Monica, perhaps a Crystal Dynamics, that says, no, that's kind of what we're about. So I think ultimately for Microsoft to become the kind of company that publishes games that are more artistically pleasing and emotionally and intellectually relevant, like some of Sony's games, I think some of the studios at Microsoft have to be given the support like the Sony teams have the support, because one of the things that makes those games what they are is the iteration and the freedom those teams have to do stuff, throw it away, You know, and a lot of people will tell you that's what Halo was, and I think it's a great fucking game. So, but I think a lot of it is Microsoft has to have a culture, at least in some of their studios, that let teams slip a lot and try a lot and fail a lot, and that's the only way you're ever going to build that and get people who go, I respond to that culture. That's an artistic culture, and I want to be there. And until they do that, they're not going to have the same teams that Sony has.
If you have to go the studio route, you couldn't be like a creator, someone who creates amazing stories and narratives, and you basically you pitch that to, say, Phil Spencer, who's you more open to games and gamers.
I mean, that's a question that's been asked for so many years, because it seems like that should work, but it in movies that works. In movies, you can sometimes make $1 million off a pitch on a napkin. I mean, it's very rare. You still, 99% of the time, you still need to have the skills to write it well. But in games, there was always the assumption that, I'll be a writer for games and I'll sell this particular idea or plot or character group to Sony or whatever. Unless it's like The Witcher, where it's already a proven thing, or Spider-Man, or a license that they can acquire, they would probably look at your idea and go, maybe you could come onto the team as a writer, but everybody that works at Sony, Santa Monica, I guarantee you everybody's got stories they want to tell and characters they want. And unlike the movies, the game market has not shown a tendency to go after cool characters and stories as the main thing. Like, you can look at, even Halo announced today that the Halo TV series is going to be out of canon from the actual Halo video game, because most video game stories, that's not why people show up. I'm not saying people don't like Master Chief and Cortana and the weapon, or Abby and all this shit in Last of Us, but 90% of the video game stories are not why people are there. And in that, I think that's why Phil Spencer would probably go, that's a really neat story, but it's part of a whole package he needs. He needs to see the graphics and the controls and the developer and the work ethic. And the story's one tiny part that if they had to lose anything, they could lose the story and they'd still have a huge hit. So that's why.
Yeah. I mean, I heard recently, I think it was a GDC, they said, forget about plot and focus on character, which I think is probably quite accurate.
I mean, my rule is don't listen to rules. I'm not saying if you're trying to learn things, you should hear things and noodle them over, but there are games. It depends how you're telling your story, right? If you're telling your story all through gameplay, it might be easier to focus on a story told through gameplay, like Half-Life, than a character story told through gameplay. But maybe not. I'm just saying I'd be careful of rules like that, because everybody's different, every team's different. I think being a well-rounded writer makes a lot more sense, where you can do both. All right, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks, sir.
Cheers. Take care.
You too,
man.
Bye. I usually buy my games. That way I'm more committed to it. Game Pass is great, but it devalues the game to yourself. We are very lucky they're releasing big games through it. I've never really gotten that. I don't feel the games are devalued just because I get it for free. But I feel the same way about stuff I watch on streaming. Speaking of streaming stuff, let's talk about Pornhub. Pornhub has put out a couple of video game stats. Hang on. Hey, Sarah? Sarah? We don't feed the dog twice. So here, they put out their most searched for video game porn, right? This is interesting to me. Minecraft, number one is Fortnite. What are you looking at? Right? What are you looking at? The banana guy? Like what is in Fortnite that you would look up for porn? Minecraft is a little weird. Minecraft is a little fucking weird. That's jumped 2 places this year. The Minecraft porn. What are you whacking to? I'm not even fucking with you. I don't know. Overwatch, I get. That's number 3. Pokemon, I get mostly because of what is her name? Misty, right? What is Brawl Stars? Is Brawl Stars a mobile game? I don't know what Brawl Stars is. Among Us, What the fuck? I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna do it off screen. I gotta look up Among Us porn. I gotta see what the fuck this looks like. I'll describe it to you guys. 86 Billion Neuron says, "Hey from Japan, Jaffe. Have a lovely Christmas holiday season. Love your channel." Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very, very much. I'm gonna look up some of this. I'm gonna describe it to you. I'm gonna describe it to you off the screen. Okay, let me see. So in the future, if you're like, Jaffe, you were looking up Pornhub, Minecraft, this is why I'm doing it. I'm not shamed by porn, but I ain't looking up Pornhub. What do we say? Let's look up Among Us. Okay, I typed in Pornhub Among Us. Here we go. Among Us porn videos on Pornhub. Okay, most of it's animated. Let me see if I can show you something. I mean, most of it's... Okay, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. This is dumb. Okay, I mean, it's dumb. It's literally like either a literal representation of a Pornhub astronaut fucking, and it's animated, or they've got one where it's like a lady's getting fucked from behind, but by an animated cartoon like Roger Rabbit, but it's an Among Us character. All right, let me look up Minecraft and see. Minecraft, come on. Oh god, this guy is fucking this girl who's wearing Minecraft panties, but most of it is basically porn in Minecraft. Oh my god, so stupid. I don't understand why somebody would want to look at this. I'm not opposed. I'm not shaming them. I'm just saying it's weird. Just fucking weird. Let me tell you, instead, the most searched for video game characters. Let me bring it back to you. Lara Croft is number 1. Diva from Overwatch 2. Super Mario, number 3. Jill Valentine makes sense, although I like Claire more. Resident Evil, Princess Peach, Nintendo. Tifa Lockhart, that makes sense. Bowsette, okay, Nintendo. Ada Wong. Where is Claire? Claire's way down there under Pikachu. At the bottom, we have Ruby from Fortnite, Wraith from Apex Legends, Katana from Mortal Kombat. She's always hanging in there. Abby from The Last of Us is in there, so take that, you haters. But there you go. Who the hell looks this up like honestly, says Snumpkin? I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, read some of the comments? Okay, all right. Let me read some of the comments, and we're going to move on. These are comments on Pornhub Among Us. All right, let's... I'm going to pick this one that has the girl being fucked by the animated character. I have all this... How do I get rid of that? Oh, it's an ad, I see. Okay, so let me turn down the volume. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm saying. It's literally what I'm telling you it is. It's literally what I'm telling you it is. I got to figure out a way to show you this. It's, imagine if you will, how can I do this? Imagine if you, it's literally Roger Rabbit, but instead of Roger Rabbit, it's a porn, and instead of Roger Rabbit doing the fucking, it's an Among Us astronaut. That's all I can tell you. It's the craziest thing. Let's see what the comments say. Somebody says, what the fuck is this? Why he thick, though? What the fuck did I watch? Somebody says, great content, has 11 thumbs up. This guy says, this looks like one of those I phoned X character at 3 a.m. videos. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Okay, let's move on. You know what? I'm going to open the next show talking about NFTs because I always save it for deep in the show, and it's a big topic, and by the time I get to it, I'm kind of tired. It's too much. It's too much. Eddie says, I want your top 5 most searched games. How would I find that? Ryan Paul, thank you for Super Chat. He says, when are you playing Destiny on PCGP like you promised? Did I promise? Look, I played Destiny 1 when it was out, and I enjoyed it, but I never played it with anybody because there weren't a group of people who wanted to play it. I'll play it, with some people. if they want to give it a shot with me. But I'm not a big Destiny 2. The first one was cool, but it wasn't, my big cup of tea. Yeah, how would I find my most searched games? 86 Billion says Game Pass gives people the chance to play games they might never play and give the devs a chance to make another game if the first one played well. I agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. In fact, I'll probably do a stream this weekend, GABBIN+GAMES, and we'll make it NFT focused because there's a lot to talk about there, and there's a lot of interesting pushback that's been happening among gamers. The challenge with this stream, I got to figure out a challenge, is I could probably go longer, but I would need to take a break, and I don't know how to do breaks well with a stream like this, because if I do a break, then I gotta, like, do I kill the stream? It doesn't matter. It's not interesting to you, but I'll probably stream it. Let me tell you guys something real quick. This weekend, GABBIN+GAMES is doing Sunday. It's going to be at 1 o'clock California time, which is 4 o'clock if you're in New York and everywhere in between. For Cult of Calypso members and God of War members only and mods, of course, we're going to be watching, what is the movie we're going to be watching? Mortal Kombat Legends, the newest one. We're going to be watching that. Come to the Discord. I'll tell you how we're going to do it. And then we're going to be watching some Christmas horror movie over on Amazon Prime. So as long as you have Amazon Prime, doesn't matter if you're a member or not, hopefully you can join us for the second movie or become a member, join us for the first movie. It's pot and popcorn. I'll have popcorn. I'll have pot. Whether you have both or either, it's up to you. Bring what you want. But we're going to be doing that this Sunday. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. Rob says PayPal won't let me renew my membership. Well, Rob, you're a mod, so don't worry about it. I'm reading Claymud. Claymud says, "Who cares about NFT market? I just want to play a game." Well, we'll get to it. We'll talk about that. Alaj says, "When can we expect to vote in the Jaffe Awards?" I will give you information on that on the holiday shows that we do Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. So, or sometime on Christmas. I think it's going to be Christmas morning because, like I said at the start of this, my kids will be sleeping. But that's it for tonight, fellas. That has been GABBIN+GAMES for December 17th. Tomorrow is Spielberg's birthday. It's pathetic, I know that, but I do. Big fan for life, Jaffe says. Scott Warren, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Oh, you want the vomit kid emote? Why won't they? Well, look into it. Why won't they let you? Do you not have any money over there? Maybe it's a money thing, right? Maybe you gotta, I don't fucking know. I'm curious how long I've been subbed to your channel, says Eddie. I feel like I was one of the first 100. Can you see my follow date? Yeah, hang on a second. I'll look. I think I can. Give me a moment. Yeah, Witcher 2 came out. You goddamn right. I'm excited for that, man. All right, hang on a minute. Let me go look up Eddie. Am I calling you poor? Well, first off, nothing's wrong with being poor at all if I was, Rob, but I'm not. I'm just saying that maybe there's something going on in your, with your, I don't fucking know. What the fuck do I know? I'm just saying it's, Oh, dude, Bacon Magma. I'll talk about that in a second. Hang on. Eddie, what are you at right now? Eddie T, I think you're a God of War, right? Was this Eddie T we're talking to? Who was asking me that? Darth Nugget? Who is it? Who was asking me that goddamn question? Sorry, fellas. Eddie Cardwell. Okay, so what level are you at? Okay. Oh, you followed my channel, not subscribed. Oh, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how to get that data. I'm sure it's out there, but I don't know. Jaffe, thoughts on the TikTok trend National School Shooting Day? If you don't know what he's talking about, there were a number of messages that went around on TikTok saying, beware of going to school today because there's all this bad shit that's going to happen. And so all the schools sent out emails to the parents, blah, blah, blah. We got some. Yeah, I kept my kid home. I asked my kid, I didn't expect anything to happen. It's kind of like bomb threats. It's like if you're going to shoot something up, first off, if you're going to shoot up something like you're an angsty kid, you probably aren't, you're probably not like a follower where it's like, oh, the club has gotten together and decided the 17th is the day. So I wasn't worried about it. Also, if you're going to do something like that, why would you announce it? Like a bomb threat? Why, if you really want to blow something up, why would you tell people that there's a bomb where you're, it's dumb. But that said, though, I asked my kid, I says, hey, do you want to go, or you feeling anxious? And he said, I'm pretty sure nothing will happen, but, it'll be on his mind. And kids these days, teenagers these days are really, in school-age kids, there's a lot of anxiety they have in their lives. And I just was like, if I can help you not have to deal with that today, especially with, Omicron coming in full force and shit, I figured I would. So my kids stayed home, but it's terrible. It's awful. Jaffe, any games you recommend from the Christmas sale Xbox? I don't know. Let's find out together. I wasn't aware there was a Christmas sale. Hang on. Xbox. Okay, let me tell you. Xbox sales and specials. Mayhaps. Is this what you're talking about? I don't know where I should be looking for what you're talking about. So, okay. But I'll be streaming this weekend. I'll let you know if I find any that I think. Yeah, I'm going to be watching some Witcher as well this weekend too. I loved the first. I loved the first one. New releases upcoming on sale. Maybe that'll give us something. These don't look like they're on sale. Did I play Artful Escape? No, I have it, but I haven't played it yet. I've downloaded it. So looking at these games, I mean, tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you like? What are you interested in? Who are you getting it for? I mean, these are all, depending on who you ask, great games, but are you looking for something to play with kids? Are you looking for something to play by yourself, like an adventure game? Are you looking for a sports game? What are you looking for? I like that Mortal Kombat just dropped on the fucking Game Pass, though, so we can make that a game night game. Lego Marvel Superheroes is pretty fucking good. Insurgency Sandstorm's pretty fucking good. I will not be playing Sekiro at all, Ryan P. I have no interest in it. It's too hard for me, man. Black Flag. Oh, I didn't mean to click it. Black Flag is fucking brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Resident Evil Village, pretty goddamn good. I mean, they're all good, man. So I'd need to know more about what your interests are when it comes to games. You like Far Cry 6? I didn't play it. Witcher 3, there you go. All right, well, that's the show, fellas. I'm going to head out, get some stuff done. We're decorating the tree tomorrow. I'll send you a picture, maybe. Who knows? Might get a little tree for the background as well. You like all types of games, adventures, and action? Oh, I mean, all those on that list are good, man. So, I mean, there's nothing that I see that I'm like, oh, don't get that one. Okay. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the company. Thanks for the great conversation. Robert the Moderate, thank you so much, buddy. Novodamus, welcome to the Mod Club. We appreciate it very, very much. Thanks for taking care of those scoundrels. If you haven't seen Spider-Man, I hear it's great. Go see it. And I'll see you guys this weekend. I'll be doing a stream. And don't forget, we're doing Pot and Popcorn this Sunday at 1 o'clock California time. That's 4 o'clock East Coast time. Fantasy Phil says, great stream as always, Jaffe. Thanks. Thank you, buddy. Did you play the Gunk? Yeah, I'm playing it right now. I'm about 2 hours in. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's not game of the year for me, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great chill game to put on after finishing Halo. All right, fellas, that's it. I'm out.